Hey everyone, welcome once again. For those who are new here, I am Alisha with a passion for education and teacher training. Before you actually start watching this video, please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. You know it is free. We all know that learning is always designed to bring desired changes in the behavior of the learner. Now, these changes in the behavior of a learner are brought about in all the aspects and domains of his behavior or his personality. In the 1950s, Benjamin Bloom headed a group of educational psychologists whose goal was to develop a system of categories of learning behavior to assist in the design and assessment of educational learning. The group identified three domains of learning, and they were called as the cognitive domain, which was related to knowledge. You know, cognition itself is thinking. The affective domain, which was related to attitudes, beliefs and values of a person, and the psychomotor domain, which was related to physical skills. All teachers should know about these domains and should use this knowledge to construct their lessons on a daily basis. Now, why should teachers frame their learning objectives based on the knowledge of these three domains? First of all, having an organized set of objectives, learning objectives or learning goals, helps teachers to plan and deliver appropriate instruction. It also helps them to design valid assessment tasks and strategies and ensure that instruction and assessment are aligned with the objectives and that nothing is haywire. In today's video, we shall try to understand Bloom's taxonomy and the three learning domains proposed by Bloom and his colleagues, and also the revised version of the Bloom's taxonomy. I know that many students find this topic a little heavy, hence I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. So let's get started. So here we have Bloom's taxonomy and the domains of learning. So to repeat what I previously said, we have the three domains. The cognitive domain, which I've tried to indicate with a thinking smiley. The psychomotor domain, indicated by a hand, and the affective domain, which is shown by the heart. Each of these domains has a hierarchy of educational objectives, and each one of these has a taxonomy associated with it. The cognitive domain is one of the best known educational domains. It contains additional levels of knowledge and understanding. The domains of learning were first developed and described between 1956. The cognitive domain had a major revision in 2001. The affective domain may be the least understood and in many ways the most important of the learning domains. The main person or researcher that we remember when we talk about the affective domain is Krathwohl. Now this domain includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, motivation, enthusiasm and attitudes. The psychomotor domain refers to the use of motor skills, coordination and physical movement. There have been revisions of the psychomotor domain as well, but we will be referring to the Simpson's domain. Again, a look at the three domains here. Now, let us discuss the original taxonomy which was proposed by Bloom. And over here we had these levels of the cognitive domain. So, knowledge being at the primary level and going upwards, evaluation being at the higher level of the domain.
or the taxonomy. So, knowledge involves the recall of specifics and universals, the recall of methods and processes, or the recall of a pattern or setting or a structure. It involves the ability to recall information, to summarize. So it could be explained best with an example of, let's say, remembering the safety rules when driving. The next one is comprehension. It refers to a type of understanding or apprehension such that the individual knows what is being communicated and can make use of the material or idea being communicated without necessarily relating it to other material or seeing its fullest implication. It refers to the understanding of the data. Furthermore, it also involves interpreting the data. For example, a teacher understands a chapter and then tries to explain it in his or her own words. Then we have application. It refers to the use of abstractions in particular and concrete situations. This means using knowledge in a new situation. It refers to the application of gained knowledge. For instance, a doctor applies his knowledge of science to treat his patients. Then we have analysis. Now, this represents the breakdown of a communication into its constituent elements or parts such that the relative hierarchy of ideas is made clear. Here, division of information happens into smaller parts. The analysis helps students to understand the difference between facts and opinions. For example, a lawyer knows how to separate facts from opinions in court. Then we have synthesis. Now this involves putting together of elements and parts so as to form a whole. Synthesis means to combine different parts of information to form a pattern. Hence, synthesis gives new meaning. For example, a sports coach makes new plans to win matches. And lastly, we have evaluation. So, it refers to making judgments or trying to make value of material and methods for given purposes. This refers to the ability to form judgments about a situation. For example, a painter decides which colors to use for a painting. Another close look at the original taxonomy. Then we had the cognitive domain revised in 2001, and the authors of the revised taxonomy underscore this dynamism using verbs and gerunds to label their categories and subcategories. So in the older taxonomy, we had nouns, whereas in the revised form, we have verbs. And we know that verbs are action words. So these action words describe the cognitive processes by which thinkers encounter and work with knowledge. So as you see, there are 6 levels of cognitive learning according to the revised version of Bloom's taxonomy. Each level is conceptually different. The 6 levels are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Now we know that to remember is to retrieve, recall, or recognize relevant knowledge from the long-term memory. For example, recalling dates of important events in history, or to remember the components of a bacterial cell, etc. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include words like define, describe, label, identify, match, show, state, etc. Talking about the next level, that is understanding. To understand is to demonstrate comprehension through one or more forms of explanation. For example, classify an illness like jaundice or compare ritual practices in two different religions. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include arrange, associate, categorize, classify, compare, compute, clarify, differentiate, discuss, and so on. The next one is applying or to apply. To apply is to use information or a skill in a new situation. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include calculate, classify, compute, demonstrate, examine, experiment, generalize, etc. The next level is analyze. To analyze is to break material into its constituent parts and determine how the parts relate to one another or to an overall structure or purpose. For example, the relationship between different flora and fauna in an ecological setting, or analyzing the relationship between different characters in a theatre play, or analyzing the relationship between politics and jurisdiction in a society. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include classify, compare, contrast, detect, differentiate, distinguish, and so on. Then we have evaluate. To evaluate is to make judgments based on criteria and standards, just like how we discussed last time in the original taxonomy. Now, to evaluate is to detect errors within a process or product, or determine whether if an experimenter's conclusions follow from observed data, or judge which of the two methods is the way to solve a given problem. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include argue, assess, conclude, consider, convince, contrast, decide, criticize, grade, judge, justify, rank, rate, review, score, recommend, and many more like this. And last we have the highest level, you can say, which is create. To create is to put elements together to form a new coherent or functional whole. Reorganize elements into a new pattern or structure. For example, write a thesis, invent a product, compose a piece of music, or write a play. So it has a lot of originality. It's a new creation. Appropriate learning outcome verbs for this level include assemble, build, constitute, compose, develop, design, formulate, generate, hypothesize, make, modify, organize, and the list goes on. Now let's try to understand the next domain, that is the affective domain. Now, the affective domain deals with a person's feelings and emotions. It breaks into these parts that you can see on the screen. Affective learning is demonstrated by behaviors indicating attitudes of awareness, attention, interest, concern, and responsibility. Now, receiving, which is at the basic level, refers to the student's willingness to attend to particular phenomena of stimuli. Like in the classroom, it is how a student would receive knowledge or receive stimulus, like classroom activities, a textbook, music, lecture, etc. Learning outcomes in this area range from the simple awareness that a thing exists to selective attention on the part of the learner. Receiving represents the lowest level of learning outcomes in the affective domain. Next, then we have responding. It refers to active participation on the part of the student. At this level, he or she not only attends to a particular phenomenon but also reacts to it in some way. Learning outcomes in this area may emphasize acquiescence in responding, willingness to respond, or satisfaction in responding. The higher levels of this category include those instructional objectives that are commonly classified under interest, that is, those that stress the seeking out and enjoyment of particular activities. Then we have valuing. Valuing is concerned with the worth or value a student attaches to a particular object, phenomenon, or behavior. This ranges in degree from the simpler acceptance of a value to the more complex level of commitment. Valuing is based on the internalization of a set of specified values, but clues to these values are expressed in the student's overt behavior. Organization is concerned with bringing together different values, resolving conflicts between them, and bringing and building of an internally consistent value system. Thus, the emphasis is on comparing, relating, and synthesizing values. Lastly, we have categorization. So, categorization happens by a value or a value set. The individual has a value system that has controlled his or her behavior for a sufficiently long time for him or her to develop a characteristic lifestyle. Thus, the behavior is pervasive, consistent, and predictable. Learning outcomes at this level cover a broad range of activities, but the major emphasis is on the fact that the behavior is typical or characteristic of the student. Now let's talk about the psychomotor domain. So at the lowest level we have perception, then set, guided response, mechanism, complex clear response, adaptation, and origination. Perception, the first level, is concerned with the use of the sense organs to obtain cues that guide motor activity. This category ranges from sensory stimulation to translation or relating cue perception to action in performance. The next one is set. It refers to readiness to take a particular type of action. This category includes mental set or the mental readiness to act. It also includes a physical set, which is the physical readiness to act, and an emotional set, which is the willingness to act itself. Perception of cues serves as an important prerequisite for this level. Guided response is concerned with the early stages in learning a complex skill. It includes imitation. Imitation is repeating an act demonstrated by the instructor, and it also includes trial and error. That's using a multiple response approach to identify an appropriate response. Adequacy of performance is judged by an instructor or by a suitable set of criteria. Up next we have mechanism, which is concerned with performance of acts where the learned responses have become habitual and the movements can be performed with some confidence and proficiency. Learning outcomes at this level are concerned with performance skills of various types, but the movement patterns are less complex than at the next higher level. And the next higher level is complex overt response. Now this is concerned with the skillful performance of motor acts that involve complex movement patterns. Proficiency is indicated by a quick, smooth, accurate performance requiring a minimum of energy. The category includes resolution of uncertainty, that's when a student performs without hesitation, and automatic performance, where movements are made with ease and good muscle control. Learning outcomes at this level include highly coordinated motor activities. Next we have adaptation, which is concerned with skills that are so well developed that the individual can modify movement patterns to fit special requirements or to meet a problem situation. And lastly, we have origination, which refers to the creating of a new movement pattern to fit a particular situation or specific problem. Learning outcomes at this level emphasize creativity based upon highly developed skills. Once again, let us have a summarized look at the three domains, and the higher order subdomains are on top. So if you want to read it from the screen, you can go from here to here. So down to up, and down to up. Now let's try to understand the three domains once again with a consistent example. Let's start with the cognitive domain. So we know that to remember is to be able to recall. Now what I've tried to do is I've made a table, and on the left side I've tried to put the levels of each of the domains, and on the right side I've tried to formulate a suitable example. So if I want to check the memory or the ability of recall of the student, and I've taken this example of photosynthesis, I'm going to frame a question which would say define photosynthesis. So that way I check the recall of the pupil. Now to understand is to be able to grasp the meaning of any material. So to check understanding, I would ask the student a question which would say explain the process of photosynthesis, or what is photosynthesis. To check application, I would say construct a chart explaining the process of photosynthesis. To check analysis or the skill of discrimination in the student, I would ask the question compare and contrast the process of photosynthesis and respiration. To check the ability to evaluate, my question is, can artificial photosynthesis inhibit global warming and be a salvation for human civilization in the 21st century? Discuss. So here I am actually trying to check the student's opinion on something. Okay, and it's rather futuristic. So the student has the freedom, the ease to discuss this topic from various angles. And lastly, to check creative ability or skill of the student, my question is prepare a model explaining how the process of photosynthesis and respiration will change in the future because of elevated carbon levels. So I hope I've made my point clear and you have thoroughly understood what is the cognitive domain. Up next, we have the affective domain, and we have the levels once again going from primary to secondary level. So here my concept or the example is women's rights. So for receiving, my objective, the learning objective is the pupil listens to a lecture on women's rights. So when you listen, you're using your sense organs, that is hearing, and you're also comprehending it at the same time. So basically you're receiving stimulus. Then the next one is responding. So my objective is the pupil answers questions probed on equal rights for women and reads a book on the same topic. For valuing, it is the pupil participates in a national webinar on a topic related to rights of women. So over here it is just receiving stimulus. Here it is receiving and also reacting on the stimulus. Here it is after receiving and reacting trying to inculcate a new behavioral response, or going a notch higher and pondering more on the same topic. For organizing, the pupil arranges a peaceful rally in his or her vicinity to propagate information on women's rights. And lastly, we have characterizing. So here, the pupil is firmly committed to the value and perhaps shall organize or head a group which would take up women's issues. So we see a gradual progression going from simple to complex level. Now, talking about the psychomotor domain. Here my example is cricket. This domain we know is characterized by progressive levels of behaviors from observation to mastery of a physical skill. At this point of time, I'd once again like to mention that the psychomotor domain was also further studied and revised by Dave in 1970 and Harrow in 1972. They both built upon the previous taxonomy. However, in today's video, I have not mentioned those. This categorization that we are discussing is also referred to as Simpson's taxonomy. Now, once again we have from primary to secondary level, and like I mentioned earlier, my examples revolve around the game of cricket. So for perception, my objective that I'm writing is the pupil distinguishes between the game of baseball and cricket. For set, the pupil demonstrates bowling rules in cricket. Guided response, the pupil imitates George Bailey's style of batting. Well, just in case if you all don't know, George Bailey is a former Australian player. He often took a stance in which his back would face the bowler and his bat stands right in the front of the fielder at point. He keeps his back foot very side on, and this lists him among the batsmen with a funny batting stance. So, let's say the pupil tries to imitate his style of batting. Then for mechanism, the pupil displays a proficiency at batting on the real playground. So let's say he's really good at it. Complex response, the pupil is able to carry out multiple roles effectively from the game of cricket. So let's say the pupil is able to be a good batsman, bowler, fielder, and also a ref. And then we have adaptation. Here the pupil modifies the rules of the game score of cricket depending upon the duration assigned for play after school. So it's like he can play with the rules and come out with good alternatives. And lastly, we have origination, which is similar to creation. So the pupil creates a new version of cricket to be played by senior citizen players. So let's say he designs or modifies the game in such a way that it can be effectively played by players who are above 60 years of age. We need to know that we all learn best when the three H's are connected and collaborated with each other, and the three H's that I'm referring to are hand, head, and heart.
So that was all in today's video. Please avoid downloading my videos. I shall be really grateful if you all could share the video links instead, and like all my videos and subscribe to my channel.